Good times. Coming at you live from sunny Magnolia, Ohio. 32 degrees out. You're listening to some copyright-free song that we got off the internet. I'm always worried my microphone is way too loud, and then we watch the replay and you can barely hear me. Let's hear you.
What do you hear now?
Don't forget to have it close to the mouth. That's what she said.
Heyo.
All right. Welcome in. And we got our co-host here at the beginning, not the end, on a beautiful January 29th, 2021. It's actually nice out today.
Yeah, real pretty.
How'd you get here on time?
Got to leave work early.
Are you going to whisper the whole show?
Had a nice little drive in the afternoon.
People want to hear you, man. They've been texting the show all week long.
Really?
Where's the soccer guy at? We couldn't hear him last week. Nah, just kidding. Welcome in. Work Week in Review live from the studio here in Magnolia, Ohio. Got my co-host here. He's got some topics on his mind that we'll get to. And you can see the overall topic list there on the right side of your screen. Got a lot to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
Now, you said you were going to do some research while you were eating your sub before the show. Did you do any research?
I got a little reading in, yep.
All right, cool. Well, we're going to say that, what was I going to tout here? Well, we got some people writing a little bit more. Oh, I'm thinking of a text I just got from Captain Lou. He got a sponsor for his show, so that's good news for Lou.
Yeah,
we're going to
nice.
give him a little applause here. Watch your ears. I never know how loud those are going to be. And then our sponsor is Amazon. Go to 12ozsportsnetwork.com/Amazon. That'll take you straight to the store and give 12 Ounce Sports some credit. So, all right, co-host, go at it. What do you got on your mind today?
Well, of course, the race coming up this weekend, the 24-hour race in Daytona, and shockingly awful basketball game that we watched this past week.
We'll get to that. That's near the bottom of the list. That'll probably be around when we're toasting, so we'll get a nice beer in us before we talk about the lack of defense in the NBA. But the 24 Hours of Daytona, correct?
Yes.
Is coming up Saturday, tomorrow, January 30th. And just for the clueless fans at home, they literally race for 24 hours straight, but they don't race the same driver 24 hours, right?
No, they have, I think, 4 drivers per team, and they rotate.
So
3-hour shifts or 2-hour shifts, something like that.
Oh, so they don't go 8 hours.
No.
So they're constantly so almost like every pit then, right?
Nah, they'll do double stints. The driver can do a double, sometimes even triple stints, I believe. And a stint is basically one series of laps on the track without a pit stop.
So they'll come into the pit, they'll change tires, put some gas in it, and then that driver will go back out again. So they're
sometimes they don't even change tires. They just literally refuel and go back out. Same tires, same driver.
How often do you think they're pitting?
45 minutes for the real fast cars that have, they're burning a lot of gas, and then the slower GTD cars, they might go over an hour.
So if a driver's going 3 hours, he might get 3 pit stops and 3 or 4 pit stops before he gets out of the car and the next guy comes in. Do they take a nap?
Oh, yeah, sure. Definitely. They have campers. They'll go back and try to get some of these.
So by hour 22, people aren't like bouncing off walls and barely, like the drivers aren't like hallucinating from a lack of sleep?
Maybe in the past, not now. Yeah, the rules have changed over the years.
So when we went to see Ford v Ferrari, was that the 24-hour?
That was in Le Mans. That was the 24-hour.
But it was a 24-hour race.
Oh, I think in that movie also they ran at Daytona. Yeah.
But did they take naps in that? I don't remember. I thought there was like 2 drivers.
Yeah, back in those days there were not so many restrictions on what you could do, and so it's rumored there was some marching powder, keeping people awake for the whole 24, and
They had some Colombian marching powder during a race?
yeah, for the
Oh,
drivers, and
yikes.
yeah, and
Ugh.
who knows what else in the 50s and 60s.
You blew it!
Blew it, get it? The booger sugar.
Yeah.
That's crazy. But I thought they only had like 2 drivers per team, so they'd have to at least drive 12 hours each, maybe more for one guy, huh?
I believe, I don't know what race, maybe the Le Mans, and one year there was a guy who drove 21 of the 24 hours.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Whew. Not for me, man. Not for me. Well, did you see this? Central Florida a few years ago was undefeated. They got snubbed out of the playoffs, and I think their coach decided, well, I'm never going to make the playoffs here at Central Florida, so he went back to his alma mater at Nebraska, and then Central Florida picked up a kind of a big name, Josh Heupel from Oklahoma. He was an assistant there, and now he's leaving for Tennessee. If you remember last week, Tennessee's coach got fired for putting cash in McDonald's bags.
Yeah.
Well, they just picked up a new coach. They got him from Central Florida. Central Florida can't keep coaches.
Did
but
they get snubbed again this year, Central Florida?
Not this year. This year, people argue that Cincinnati got snubbed, even though Cincinnati did lose to Georgia in their bowl game, but they were undefeated. And so it's just going to be a problem. The Cincinnatis, the Central Floridas, the Boise States, those coaches are always going to go to bigger schools. And I remember Boise State's coach a few years ago, went to Washington. He hasn't won anything since. I think a recent one from Boise just took a new job. And then what's his face? I can't remember his name. That went to Nebraska. They stink. So we'll see how Heupel does at Tennessee. But these teams get snubbed. Their coaches leave, and it's just like, I don't know. The whole system's crooked in college football anyway.
So is one a solution, maybe an 8-team playoff or a 16-team playoff?
Well, if you go to 8 teams, they're still going to snub the mid majors. They're just going to put more big schools in. But I would like to see if you did an 8-team playoff, which just has been a conversation for 40 years now, but if you did an 8-team playoff, you'd have to have some safeguards in there to where Central Florida, Cincinnati, they don't get snubbed. Because, again, they're just going to put 8 major conference teams in there. If you make it 8 teams, they're still going to ignore Central Florida. So you'd have to make it some kind of rule in there.
The NCAA basketball, they have some rules. Even small leagues are guaranteed their league winner into the big tournament.
Yeah, but there's now 66 teams in that tournament, so it's different. I mean, it's going to be pretty hard to snub small schools, but they actually have more small schools in, because what they do is conference champions are automatic bids. So you could be the smallest conference in America playing in a high school gym, but if you're a Division I college league and your conference championship goes and plays a number 1 seed, which a 16 has never beat a number 1 seed. So the closest that's ever happened was in the 80s when Princeton almost beat Georgetown, who had like 2 NBA Hall of Famers on their team. So yeah, college basketball is a little different.
And you don't think a 16-team football tournament?
Oh, they'll never do a 16-team. I mean, they do it at every other level. I played at Mount Union. There were 16 teams in the playoffs, but they only played 10 regular season games, and they weren't paid players. not that Division I college players are.
You mean McDonald's bag paid?
Yeah. They're not paid, folks. We're just making all that up. They just sit out bowl games because they don't want to get hurt, because it's going to hurt their contract in the NFL.
Yeah.
It's a joke. Speaking of joke, we used to have an old joke on our old podcast where Fake Lou said he would do the booger sugar with Bruce Arians. You remember that?
I do remember that, yeah.
Well, the real Bruce Arians said if the Buccaneers win, he's the coach of the Buccaneers, he said he's actually not going to retire if they win, because he'd like to try to win back-to-back Super Bowl championships, which I was telling you before the show because you might not know. That's kind of backwards. A lot of coaches would say, well, I've been in the league a long time. This is one of my better teams. If we win, I think it's time to hang it up. And he said the opposite. He said, if we win, I'm sticking around. Almost like he's going to retire if they lose. Again, which that's kind of reverse psychology, because usually if you lose in the Super Bowl, it's like you're itching to get back and try it again. What do you think of that?
Well, especially if you think your team is good enough to make it back and win it again, then you'd think you might want to stick around another year.
If you lost or won? I mean, if you're getting to the point where you want to retire, would you rather
I
come?
think either way, if you win or lose, if you think you have another shot at it, you stay.
But if you're already contemplating retirement anyway and you're a millionaire, is your heart going to be in it?
That's an individual question. I wouldn't know how to answer that one.
It is an interesting question. I'm getting a text. I should make you just riff on. Oh, we had a text in. I forgot that UMBC beat Virginia. That's right. A 16 did beat a 1.
Oh.
Maryland something. I don't know. It's like a weird branch of Maryland. I can't remember their full name. It's UMBC.
Okay.
They did beat Virginia.
Was that somewhat recently?
Yeah, it wasn't too long ago.
Yeah.
Whoops. Well, thanks for texting in, Cody, and letting me know.
There you go.
I'm kind of ad-libbing here, and I forgot all about that upset. That was a crazy upset too. They had no business beating Virginia. They were like Virginia was a favorite to win the title.
Really? Well, yeah, number 1 seed.
And not all one number. I mean, okay, I'll give it to you. But sometimes, I mean, Virginia was like a juggernaut. That was wild. I forgot all about it. Thanks for texting in. I appreciate it. Anyway, do you know anything about baseball?
Only from doing the Canton games with you.
So you know all about amateur baseball.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, the new president, the Ohio Men's Senior Baseball League got a new president, and I was in touch with him this past week, and he's very excited about us doing broadcasts. So we're going to do that again this year. They're hoping we'll do some 40-year-old games during the week, sporadically during the season. Not every week, but we're still going to feature the 25 and under league on Sundays. And this guy here might not be my cameraman. So if you're in the Canton or surrounding areas, we're paying for cameramen. Or I'm going to have to somehow do it all myself. Or get one of the kids employed. I'll tell you, tough.
You can act like a man. What's the matter with you?
Moving along. Anyway, so you don't know much about Major League Baseball, but this year they inducted nobody into their Hall of Fame.
I actually heard that on the radio this morning.
So if you think about it, a pro sport has a Hall of Fame. First of all, could you imagine, because since we live near Canton, we've grown up near Canton, could you imagine if one year the Pro Football Hall of Fame's like, well, half the festivities are canceled because we don't have any inductees.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Only baseball.
I don't understand how they think nobody's good enough to get in.
Well, brace yourself. Do you know who votes on it?
No.
Journalist. Yeah, thank you.
What's the logic in that?
I don't know. Journalist writers, a.k.a. writers, vote on who gets into the Hall of Fame. And they have like 7 times in history voted that nobody deserved to be in the Hall of Fame, even though almost every time that's happened, people that just missed it got in like the following year. So it's so arbitrary. And the other thing is of all the voters, there's like 150 voters, a player has to get 75% of those people to vote for him to get into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So there's only been one unanimous decision in the history of baseball, which is Mariano Rivera in 2013, or not 2013, but he was a former Yankee. So of all the great baseball players to ever exist since like the mid 1800s or however old baseball is, only one baseball player got in unanimously. I can't say it because I'm beside myself. It's like, what kind of snobs are these voters? And there's speculation that, so the 3 main names that didn't get in this year were, excuse me, Barry Bonds, perhaps one of the greatest hitters ever, Roger Clemens, one of the best pitchers ever,
right,
and Curt Schilling, there's arguments to be made there, but Curt Schilling in the postseason was ridiculous, and this back half of his career was ridiculous also. He played on some bad teams, but he's won 3 World Series with 3 different teams.
Oh, wow.
And he was the ace. So there's an argument for him. So here's the theories on why these guys didn't get in. Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens were caught using steroids.
Oh, okay.
Which, I mean, you could literally go through almost every sport.
Right.
And if you wanted to, bust a lot of people on steroids.
Right.
I mean, last year I was lifting at Powerhouse Gym with two coworkers, and I'm pretty sure everybody walked around saying they never did steroids, but probably 88% of them did. So if you don't test, you don't know. I
Yeah.
mean, and then Kurt Schilling is a very outspoken um, conservative voice, and he's like caught in the cancel culture web. So those three players were kept out of the hall, arguably for
social reasons.
social reasons.
Nothing to do with their game.
I mean, steroids is illegal, but the Major League Baseball purposely turned a blind eye to it in the 80s. Nobody was watching baseball in the 80s.
Wow.
And you know the saying, chicks love the long ball?
I did not know that.
Chicks love home runs.
Wow.
Powerful hitters. They literally just ignored it. I mean, you're telling me in like 83, all your players were string beans, and then in 84, they all were chest muscles with arms? And they ignored it. Like everybody, Barry Bonds' head was like 4 times the size like the next year, and Mark McGwire blew up, and Jose Canseco, and nobody did anything about it. I don't even think they were testing in the 80s. And then all of a sudden their popularity rose to the roof, and it just went, I mean, but everything snowballs together, though. The popularity snowballed, but also the steroid use trickled down to the minors. Next thing you know, Major League Baseball realizes every player is using steroids.
Wow.
From single A to major leagues. So then all of a sudden they wanted to tighten the screws on steroids in the 90s, and they caught a bunch of players using it. So now, cut to 2021, a bunch of journalists think those guys don't deserve to be in the hall.
And the guys in the 90s, weren't they breaking home run records?
Yes.
Like year after year,
Yeah,
couple of years
because they
in a
were
row?
juicing for 8 years building up to that.
Yeah.
So now writers decided, okay, well, these guys don't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame because they were juicing. But, I mean, last I checked, if a company tests all 100 employees and 3 of them fail the drug test, does that mean only 3 of them use drugs?
Those previous few days.
The previous few days.
Right.
Exactly. So how can the writers in good conscience be sure that they're voting in somebody that didn't use steroids just because they never got caught?
Right. They don't
So
know.
at this point, the Hall of Fame is irrelevant in baseball. Just get rid of it. If your theory is going to be because people juiced, I'm telling you, people juice now. In the weight room where I go, it's Powerhouse Gym is known for bodybuilders, professional bodybuilders. They sit there and talk at the bench. They know how to beat these tests now.
Wow.
So you can't prove that the baseball players now aren't juicing. They just know how to beat the test.
Wow.
So what are these Raiders going to do?
Maybe we should have like 2 different leagues, an all drug league and a clean league.
So I think a comedian once suggested that you should have leagues where it's just all the people are juicing and then the people
Yeah.
aren't juicing.
I think it was a Saturday Night Live skit, the all drug Olympics.
It might have been. But now, I mean, basically they're telling us that the Hall of Fame is only reserved for people that didn't get caught, because if somebody didn't get caught, you can easily say, well, they didn't juice. You don't know that.
Right.
They were just smart enough not to get caught.
Or they hadn't used in that time frame.
And they say juiced, but everything's illegal now. Recovery drugs. If you have an injury, there's drugs you can take to recover quicker. Those are illegal.
Wow.
So where do you end it?
Yeah, who knows?
You end it by ending the stupid Hall of Fame, or have somebody that has a freaking clue to vote on it.
Or yeah, not writers.
Why are writers voting on the? Why aren't ex-players, ex-managers, current Hall of Famers? Why aren't they voting on it?
That would make more sense.
Some dweeb in New York isn't going to vote for a Dodger.
Right. Right.
Just subconsciously.
Yeah.
It's like it's the subconscious part of, like, Sports Illustrated did an article like 15 years ago or 10 years ago, and they did a study on officials and how they called games, and subconsciously they tallied up fouls, holding, traveling,
Yeah.
in 3 major sports, strikes and balls, and they found that the home team got like 70% of the calls.
Wow. That's a big difference.
But it was over the course of 10 years. It was a 10-year study.
Wow.
It was every team,
Mm.
every player. So it wasn't purposeful bias. It was subconscious bias.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, the whole thing about a writer voting is goofy to begin with.
Yeah, definitely.
And
Sounds
then
strange.
they're going to say, well, this guy juiced. We're not voting him in. Well, name one that's not on the ballot that hasn't.
I can't I wouldn't know.
Kurt Schilling, but they didn't let him in because he's political.
Uh,
It's irrelevant. It's a stupid process. We're getting another text. I'm surprised Glenn hasn't called in unless I missed this call because I have the ringer down. Right there, if you see that light up, tell me.
okay.
And this is a good point that we just got in. All those writers made their bank account. It closed on me. All those writers made their bank account off covering those players thanks to them boosting back baseball, and now they want to be snobs. Without the juice, those journos likely didn't have jobs.
Right.
Nobody was watching baseball in the 80s, which I made a joke. I wrote an article on that this past week, and so did Captain Lou. And you can catch the articles on 12ozsportsnetwork.com. But I made a joke in my article at the end. It's like, even with reduced crowds in football, they're still getting more fans at the game than baseball does.
Oh, wow.
And they're going to lose more fans with this philosophy.
What about, though, fans per year? Because baseball has 180 games or something ridiculous.
We looked that up once, I think, for our podcast.
Like, yeah, yearly attendance at baseball versus yearly attendance at football.
Yeah, you would be surprised. Baseball doesn't beat anybody.
Really?
I think baseball and MLS are right neck and neck.
Wow.
At least, well, actually, for average per game, MLS had passed baseball.
Well, that would make sense to me. They played fewer games.
But they play like 40 games.
That's not 160 or whatever.
Well,
baseball
162 is ridiculous anyway. They do it for stats because they want people to settle into this long season. And it's like, whatever. I mean, do what you got to do. But nobody's going to watch a 4-hour game on a Tuesday night, on a work night. They're just not going to. They might watch a few innings and then go to bed and check the score in the morning. I mean, I love baseball, but I think they have enough problems that then they're going to, I don't know. We'll move on.
You can act like a man. What's the matter with
I'm
you?
sitting here whining and taking up all our time. We're already, holy cow, we're 22 minutes in, dude. You
Nice.
got to warn me about these things.
Okay.
Holy cow. All right, we're going to go to a quick break because I need to get a drink, and we need to speed it up here when we come back. So that's my fault. You're listening to Work Week in Review with the janitor. I got the soccer guy and studio driver with me. He's got many monikers. The main one you want to go by?
Tonight, in-house driver.
In-house driver. So there you go. Work Week in Review. We're live from the studio here in sunny, for once, Magnolia. It's not snowing or anything. We'll be right back.
That's insane.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money, and we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
At Amazon, we're pretty good at getting things done. We're pretty good at solving problems. COVID-19 is the biggest challenge we've had to face. But challenges are what motivate us. Like flying masks to our employees around the world. We're doing everything we can to get you what you need, and doing everything we can to keep our people safe. I'm former Navy pilot Sarah Rhodes, and I'm proud to lead our Amazon Air network.
yeah. We're a little light on time here. Let's see. I may have missed 2 calls. Nobody's watching the calls. Glenn, call back in. Nobody was watching. How did we drop the ball there? I didn't tell you before the show.
We need a bigger flashing light when it calls.
Well, yeah, it should take up some space there.
Okay.
But and then we had a second call we missed. I don't know if that was Cody. Yeah, it was Cody. So Glenn or Cody, feel free to call back in. We kind of dropped the ball on that. I'm so sorry. What are you gonna do? Moving along, Tom Brady does it again. What do you think of that? Do you like him? You hate him?
I guess I like that he left New England.
You're not a big New England fan?
No, I'm not a big Belichick fan.
Well, what's your beef with Belichick?
I don't know. He used to be a Clevelander, and now he's not.
Well, that's not his fault.
I know you told me it's the whole thing with Modell, but
Art Modell was a D-bag.
yeah.
I know you're not supposed to talk ill of the deceased, but, I mean, it's Art Modell. It's a special case.
Were the Browns his first head coaching job?
I believe so,
Okay.
yeah. And he did win 11 games and take them to the playoffs.
And
But
he was there 1 year.
no, he was there multiple years.
Oh.
But his last year was a losing record, I think.
Yeah.
It was like 7-9, but they were getting ready to move. I mean, I think the team called it quits at that point. So, oh well. But Tom Brady does it again. He's in his 40s, and there was speculation he was a, what do they call it, a program quarterback. He wasn't a creator. He wasn't that talented. He was just in a good system with a good coach, and that's why he won so much. Then he goes to Tampa Bay, completely different system, completely different coaching style, and he's back in another Super Bowl. Are you rooting for him or no?
I probably will, yeah. Just because Mahomes, I'm not a fan of either.
You don't like Mahomes?
No, he seems cocky. Which I know all quarterbacks and all.
If you were engaged to what he's engaged to and you're pulling in $100 million, I mean, let's be honest, you're not going to be the most humble guy I've ever met. Do you think?
You're probably right.
So Brady's going at the old GOAT versus the new GOAT, as Greg Callen from the Sports Stance said or labeled his new show that he put out this morning on 12ouncesportsnetwork.com. But it'll be interesting to watch. I get some initial Super Bowl thoughts. We'll get to that here in a second. Northwestern's coach was extended through 2030. That's 10 more years. Could you imagine if you had a guaranteed millions of dollars for every year for the next 10 years, and even if you left or if they wanted to get rid of you, they had to pay you? How do you get a deal like that?
Become a college professor.
Damn it, I guess.
Or a college coach.
College football. Well, the football coaches make probably 40 times more than the professors.
Sure, but the professors have tenure as well, I believe.
What's the old argument? Millions of people aren't watching you teach. That's why they get paid so much, the coaches do. Glenn and Cody, feel free to call back in. We missed your call. My call screener wasn't watching, which means I wasn't watching. But anyway, my initial Super Bowl thoughts. I kind of like the Buccaneers here, and they pay well too on my bookie. But they can run the football, and that's something that Buffalo didn't try to do. Buffalo's run game was a little weak at the end of the year anyway, but Tampa Bay's got a good running game, and they look a lot like the Browns the way they structure their offense. Now, they got some marquee receivers. I don't know if Antonio Brown will be back. But, of course, they got the legend there at quarterback, and they got Leonard Fournette running. This could be interesting. If you were going to put some money on it, knowing nothing about the game or the matchup, what would you do?
Chiefs seems like a safe bet.
By how many, though?
Oh, well, what's the spread now? Probably 3 or less.
So you see a close game, which that would play into the Buccaneers' hands because the Buccaneers can run the football and the Chiefs are a little weak against the run. That's what kept the Browns in the game. Well, it helps when Chad Henne's in the game and not Mahomes, but
yeah.
But I don't know. The Buccaneers have a decent running game. I see this being close. I don't see Brady letting this get out of control. They can chew some clock. I think I want to see what the point spread is. Let me pull that up. You haven't seen a point spread on that yet?
No, I haven't looked.
I know. I see the joke in that. Maybe the listeners do too. Let's see. Super Bowl. Chiefs are only favored by 3.5. That's kind of surprising. That's a close line. I mean, I would probably in that case be tempted to take the Chiefs, just because if the Chiefs win, it's not going to be within 3.
That's over 3 though. That's why I thought it wouldn't be a bet to make.
Well, if it's going to be close, here's my thought. If it's a close game, I would take the Buccaneers, but I don't know. If the Buccaneers win, I have a feeling it's going to be like a last-second field goal. That's a tough one. I don't know. That's a weird line. I thought it would be bigger. 3.5. I'm kind of tempted to take the Chiefs now, and that disappoints me because I want the Buccaneers to win. I don't know. I feel like it's going to be like a crazy low-scoring game because the Buccaneers handed it off a lot, or it's going to be they can't tame the Chiefs. And if that's the case, the Chiefs are going to win by more than 3. What's my bookie saying? My bookie, use the promo code 12OZ Sports for a deposit bonus up to $1,000. The in-studio driver looking up.
I think if I'm making that bet, I'm betting my $1.15 to win $1 on the Buccaneers.
Wait a minute. So we're on a sports talk show and you're betting $1?
Yeah, well, in this case, $1.15.
I'm going to have to guess everybody's laughing at you.
You can act like a man. What's the matter with you?
You're betting $1? So I followed Pete's Power Plays last night from 12 Ounce Sports. He's live at noon Tuesday through Thursday, and he does hockey bets. I had $70 on the line with 6 different bets.
Following his bets?
Following Pete's advice. Yeah. Now, one was an accidental bet. I accidentally made a parlay bet. I didn't know I was doing that. My bet slip was a mess. So I should have only bet 5 times and won 4 of those. But I bet 6 times and won 4 of those. But I still profited $7.
Nice.
Yeah.
Off of $70 bets?
Yeah.
Okay.
I bet 70 and returned 77. Yeah. So, hey, if you're not losing money, you're winning money.
That sounds right.
So, I don't know. I'll have to wait until we get closer to the Super Bowl. We still got another week for that anyway. But speaking of the Super Bowl and how we got here, the Packers...
You blew it!
You remember that game now? Did you watch that?
Part of it, I believe. Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers was scrambling to the right. There was nobody to his right. He could have walked into the end zone and tries to throw it back towards the middle, and that's how we got here. And I think a lot of people wanted to see the Aaron Rodgers, Pat Mahomes matchup because both of them are just prolific quarterbacks. Instead, we're getting an old Brady who's still playing at a high level, but I mean, against the Packers, he threw 3 straight interceptions, so it could snowball against the Chiefs. But the Packers, I'm kind of a quasi-Packers fan, and you are too. Explain why.
They're public-owned.
They're fan-owned.
Yeah.
Get that microphone closer.
Fan-owned.
People want to hear you.
Yeah.
That's it?
That's it. They're fan-owned. Yeah. I like their colors. Yeah.
It's a good reason to like them, though.
I like cheese in Wisconsin. What can I say?
What's your favorite cheese? Let's do our top 3 cheeses. Go.
Smoked Gouda, smoked Swiss, smoked cheddar, smoked anything.
My favorite is mozzarella. That's well, should we go inverted order? 3, 2, 1 or 1, 2, 3? Do you have to take that?
No.
I'm going to say mozzarella, hot pepper cheese, and what's my third favorite?
Oh, there's all kinds of other strange ones I forgot about. Feta.
This is going to sound dumb, but
blue cheese.
I like American cheese because I like cheese, grilled cheese.
You can do grilled cheese with any cheese.
Well, true. I do. Oh, I make grilled cheeses with Swiss sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it an emergency you're getting over there, or just shooting the breeze? All right. Well, this week was Kobe Bryant tragedy anniversary, so that everybody had to be reminded of that tragedy, and then be reminded how fast a year goes. Because that was like right at the start of the pandemic, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, it was before the pandemic. I was still in Italy at the time, actually, when I,
But we knew about the virus.
no. Oh, well, we knew it
Yeah.
was in China or
Yeah.
something. It wasn't in Italy. It wasn't in the States. It was just,
Right, but we knew about it. Yeah, so
Yeah.
everybody knew about it. So that's, I mean, I can't believe it's been a year now, but there was a lot of tributes, fitting tributes
There
during the week.
there were tributes in Italy on Italian TV and stuff when it happened, when he died.
When it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It made world news, and
Yeah.
also Italy probably had a special interest. He could speak Italian, and I think he lived in Italy.
He did live in Italy, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So there you have it. That puts us about halfway through. We caught up a little bit. Do you know who Jake Paul is?
no.
Do you know when we watched the boxing event with Mike Tyson,
Yeah.
either legally or illegally?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the guy that fought the former NBA basketball player,
Oh, right.
I think that was his brother, Luke Paul.
Okay.
Do you remember if it was Luke or Jake?
I don't remember.
Well, the Paul brothers got famous on having a YouTube channel, but they also started boxing. And Jake Paul's worked his way up. He's going to fight Ben Askren April 17th, who's a former MMA fighter.
What kind of fight will they be having?
Just boxing. So that's a good question. I mean, we saw Conor McGregor try to switch to just boxing, and he hung in there, but he lost. I mean, so I don't know how that's going to go. But Ben Askren is a bona fide fighter, so it'll be interesting to see how one of these Paul brothers do, because you have to remember they're YouTube stars. So even though they're succeeding at boxing, but they're boxing like former NBA players
Yeah.
who aren't boxers,
Yeah.
then once they win, they get big balls, as they say, and then they start calling out
Yeah.
actual fighters. Well, one bit, because I think it was Luke Paul. I want to say it's Luke and Jake. I think the other Paul brother's the one that fought the NBA player, and then he called out Conor McGregor, which Conor, I don't even think acknowledged him, but
Right. What's the point in that?
but Jake Paul did entice a real fighter, so we'll see how that goes April 17th.
Now, is it going to be the real big heavy gloves, or are they going lighter weight gloves like
Well,
Conor did when he fought the boxer?
We just do headlines here. I don't have the tail of the tape. What else do you want to know?
That's all.
We could always look up the betting information. I'm not actually doing that. I was seeing if you would bite on that.
I was reading further in your list there.
Well, I was looking to see. Our two callers didn't call back. I feel bad. I didn't see them calling in. Hopefully, it's not something with my screen or the notification. I would have liked to talk to Glenn today, but apparently Glenn only listens to the first 9 minutes of the show because I told him to call back in, and he hasn't yet. So Glenn's not listening to us. I'll have to have a talk with him. Did you see, we talked about this a little bit last week, but the NFL Pro Bowl now is going to be virtual. We were talking about how the combine was going to be virtual. Well, here's the difference. The combine's going to be, you can watch it on a streaming service. You know what they mean by the Pro Bowl being virtual?
It's literally video game.
Yes, they're going to play a video game for the Pro Bowl. Why does that matter?
And who will be playing it? Like the people, the athletes will be playing themselves or something?
I don't know who's going to control it. I don't know if the athletes are going to be controlling the players or if it's just going to be like professional Madden players.
Right.
Well, you got to talk for a minute because somebody's texting me
Oh.
about the show. There we go. I got it through. I don't know. I didn't get that much. I just saw people was laughing online because they're going to play the Pro Bowl on Madden.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
I don't know why that matters. Just scrap the Pro Bowl for once. That's the most meaningless. Do you know anything about the Pro Bowl?
Pro players getting a bowl.
Well, in the last 10 years or so, it's become a mockery. There was one year, I don't remember how long ago it was, but the players literally, like the defenders, like the ball would be snapped and the defensive lineman just stand there.
Oh.
And it was just like a passing, it was just like they were throwing the ball around for fun.
So it's like a basketball East versus West all-star game.
But nobody wanted to tackle. They didn't want to get hurt because
Yeah.
they have these enormous, this is the problem with these enormous contracts also.
Well, then maybe it does make sense that they're playing a virtual game. It's probably more interesting to watch.
Well, why do they even have the Pro Bowl? Just name an all-star team and that's it. you get that trophy or you get that on your resume that I was an All-Pro player. But they don't try. So then they try to spice it up. They would get 2 Hall of Famers that would pick player. They would make the pool. They wouldn't have the NFC versus AFC. They would just have all the pool players that made the Pro Bowl, and then these 2 Hall of Famers would pick teams, and then the winning team would get a bonus to try to get them to play a little harder. And that helped a little bit, but not too much. I mean, nobody's really hitting. There's no big hits or anything.
Why don't they just play without pads if they're not hitting?
Oh, why don't they just golf?
There you go.
Why doesn't the NFL Pro Bowl just be them in a golf challenge? I mean, if they're not going to play football, I don't know. But so now they're going to go to Madden. You may have a point, though. If they don't try in the Pro Bowl in real life, why don't they just do the Madden thing every year?
I wouldn't want to watch a game where people aren't trying, which I think we're going to get to.
We're going to get we're going to get to that here in a minute. This is why you're a hockey fan. We're back to baseball now. The Major League Baseball Players Association have denied a motion to go to universal designated hitters. So in the American League, pitchers don't hit. They have a designated hitter, which prolongs careers.
Mm-hmm.
A good hitter might not be capable of playing the field, but he can still hit. And then pitchers, but a lot of purists say the pitcher hitting brings a lot of strategy into the game. Because typically pitchers aren't good hitters, but they are 9th in your lineup, and you might have late in the game a rally going with 2 guys on, 2 guys out, and the pitcher's coming up. Now you got to, or 1 out. Let's say it's 2 outs. The pitcher's coming out. Now you got to decide if I pinch hit for him to try to get a run here, he can't pitch, so I have to bring a reliever in, or we can just roll the dice because he's pitching really strong. We want to keep him in the game. If there's 1 out in first and second, you might bunt to move the runners up. But then you're putting yourself in a position where you have 2 outs.
I might be a purist then. I don't know.
I like it.
But I also like the fact that a guy can add on to his career and still play the game as
a daily pinch hitter.
Sure.
I mean, if you have pitchers hitting, you're always going to need a pinch hitter. The pitchers rarely play all 9 innings.
Right.
They get relieved. So relieve them.
And there's sometimes multiple relievers. You might have 3 or 4 pitchers a game.
Yeah.
So okay, so if you're a designated hitter,
you can't,
or a pinch hitter,
they could change the rule for that, though. They could say you could pinch hit in the same spot multiple times in one game.
Okay.
But whoever you're pinch hitting for is out of the game permanently.
Right.
And that would make sense for a pitcher. Right now, if you pinch hit for the pitcher, you can't come in 2 innings later and pinch hit for that pitcher.
Right.
You've pinch hit, and you're in a position you don't play, so then you're done for the night.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's something that I like the strategy of the pitcher hitting, though. I don't know. It's goofy that somebody hits but doesn't play.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's a weird. Like he's taking batting practice. He's not going to go out in the field. He doesn't even need a glove.
The pitcher's not really taking batting practice.
What do you mean?
Pitchers, if they have a designated hitter, how often does that pitcher ever take a batting practice?
Right. It's nullifying part of the game for 2 different players when you have a designated hitter.
Right.
That's why I think pitchers should hit. But I mean, my playing career didn't extend past high school, but I almost played college. But usually, in my playing career, the pitcher hit. It's just weird to me. I like the American League rule because I was an Indians fan, and we had some crazy good pinch hit or designated hitters. Now I'm using the term pinch hitter, but they denied it anyway, so it doesn't matter. But a lot of people want to do that because it prolongs careers. It's not for any kind of sanctity of the game or sticking to traditions. It's literally they just want more players to be able to play longer. I don't know. Someday I think they're going to go to that, though. They'll never go to universal no DH.
That is the way it started.
The players union would never. And the funny thing is that I think the players associations who turned it down, which is interesting because you would think they would want to advocate for the players and as many players as they can to play as long as they can. So naturally, making a DH in both leagues would make sense, but they didn't do that.
When the DH was created, is that what split the National League and the American League into 2 different leagues?
No. I think when they split, they made that decision. We're going to have something uniquely different about each league.
Okay.
Because in the World Series, if the National League team's the home team, then the American League team's pitcher has to bat,
Right.
and he hasn't had to bat all season.
Right.
Which is weird. I don't know. Anyway, we better not stick to that too long. Do you think Conor McGregor's finished?
Well, I didn't get to see that fight yet. I just read about it and heard what you told me about it. So.
Well, when you go to bed at 8:30 on fight night,
Yeah.
it's going to be hard to watch it. But there was nowhere to watch it. They had that lockdown. It wasn't as easy getting a YouTube stream of the fight live. But
I saw some post-knockout footage of him just stumbling around, and he did not look good.
he got dominated, much like he did against Khabib. And I mean, he's getting passed up a little bit. This new generation of fighters, these higher ranked guys, I don't see who he's going to beat in that weight class.
Maybe he should move on to the WWE.
No. Who wants to do that? He might move on to boxing. He can still strike, but I don't know what he's going to do. Maybe he should fight Jake Paul. He'd probably not that he needs money, but he'll probably make some good money off of that. I can't imagine the Tyson pay-per-view didn't make $100 million.
I imagine he'd make some good money on WWE also.
True. Yeah, he could probably. I don't think that much, though. We're going to take a quick break and then get back to your favorite subject, the no defense NBA.
Oh, man.
Because we're running out of time here. We're under 15 minutes to go. And we have one. Well, we only have one long subject to talk about. You might go off on the NBA, but then we'll get into some quicker headlines here.
Yeah.
You're watching the Work Week in Review live with the janitor and the in-studio driver here in Magnolia, Ohio, the 12-Ounce Sports official studio. It's a Friday, January 29th. We're going to take a 2-minute commercial. You'll barely notice us gone. We'll be right back.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money, and we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
At Amazon, we're pretty good at getting things done. We're pretty good at solving problems. COVID-19 is the biggest challenge we've had to face. But challenges are what motivate us. Like flying masks to our employees around the world. We're doing everything we can to get you what you need, and doing everything we can to keep our people safe. I'm former Navy pilot Sarah Rhodes, and I'm proud to lead our Amazon Air network.
Was I dancing well?
I wasn't watching.
Are those some of the moves the kids are doing these days?
Probably not. I'm going to guess no on that style.
Ixnay on the dance nay. Is that called Pig Latin or what is that called?
Sure. That sounds right.
You don't know?
Yeah, that's right, I think.
Well, make your mind up. Is it Pig Latin or not?
It's Pig Latin.
You blew it!
Sorry. Did you have a topic you wanted to go through?
I want to get on the NBA thing.
All right, so
This is itching me.
our topic on the right is no defense NBA. Cody and Glenn, don't worry about calling. We're going to run out of time here.
Yeah.
We'll get you next week. The no defense NBA. So we decided we were going to turn on in between intermission of a hockey game,
Yeah.
throw on the Lakers and somebody, and what did we see?
It was disgusting. It was just absolutely not basketball. You cannot call that game basketball anymore.
It honestly looked like a dunk and layup contest,
Yeah.
sprinkled in with a 3-point shooting contest.
It's warm-ups. It's glorified warm-ups.
They're just getting stats, I think, at this point. I think all they're doing is padding their stats, and then they play some hard defense in the fourth quarter. I know big NBA fans, Mike from Mike Said It First, probably argue with me, but I don't know. I just don't see any defense being played.
I saw zero. In the 10 minutes that we watched, there was zero defense.
It's like they're saying, okay, let's all get our stats, and then in the fourth quarter we'll play some D. Like, that's why the games are like one, which you can argue. So in the 80s, that was like one of the most brutal times for the NBA. They would clothesline each other, but those scores were high too. So I don't know what the difference was, but I don't know anymore. I turn on the NBA and I'm just like, what is this? This looks like warm-ups.
It was really not even interesting to watch. What would we count? Every 10 seconds there's a point scored?
So yeah, what do we do? So
I think
if the score is 120 to 110, then there's 5.4 points scored per minute. So the shot clock is 28 seconds. So you get 2.5 shot clocks per minute, and they're scoring a point every 5. They're scoring.
I thought it was 10 seconds for if they scored 130 to 120 or somewhere in that
Yeah.
range, it was every 10 seconds you would have 1 point.
Every 10 seconds.
Yeah.
That's nuts. Like,
It's not basketball.
no, it's hard to watch, but that's why Americans struggle with soccer. That's why it took so long for hockey to come along, because
And this is why soccer fans won't watch that game. It's why
yeah.
hockey fans won't watch that game.
Well, they do have a pro basketball league overseas now, a bunch of them that, NBAers that can't make it in the NBA go to now. But I don't know. I just feel like Americans need shinier things. They want to see higher scores because it's more entertaining. I don't get entertained by guys kind of, oh, you got to step on me. I'm just going to let you go around me and dunk.
Yeah.
Wah, wah.
It was pathetic. It was the worst display of professionalism I've ever seen in any sport.
Well, that's the NBA. They're just working on their brand.
Oh my goodness! And you had a good point. The players from both teams, like, they don't hate each other anymore. They're like all in a huge fraternity.
They're just a huge fraternity. It's a high-price pickup game. They worry more about their brand off the court than they do what happens on the court.
Yeah.
And I honestly think they make sure everybody gets their stats. I really do think that. Now, the playoffs, they play hard, but in the regular season, I think it's just let's build up our stats so we get these huge contracts.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think that's what it is.
And get your buddy a huge contract.
And get your buddy. Yeah, they're all buddies. There's no rivalries anymore in the NBA. But anyway, before we turn off every NBA fan from this show,
All right.
I saw today as we were getting ready for the show, they're testing the Buccaneers and the Chiefs twice a day for COVID leading up to the Super Bowl. Is that overkill?
What's the point of it? I don't understand.
Like, I think they're saying if they don't have it at noon, they might have it at 6 p.m., so we're going to test them twice.
But why would it matter at 6 p.m.? Why not just wait till the morning of the next day and find out?
I don't understand why you need to do it twice daily. I mean, I guess they're worried that if they don't, then somebody, like 2 days before the Super Bowl, they test everybody at once, and then there's a bunch of guys that have it, and they fear that everybody has it. And
Oh, I guess, yeah, then it'll cut down on the spread if you're testing more frequently.
you know what I've noticed a lot these days? Virus paranoia. everybody's paranoid about this virus, which, I mean, you should be cautious, but it's really making some strange behavior. Twice a day was just confusing to me. Why not every day at 8 a.m.? Or are they admitting that the test is not accurate?
No, I don't think it's that. I think it's you catch it quicker if you test twice a day, and then you're less likely
Well,
to
who's
expose
paying?
more people.
Who's paying for all those tests?
Probably the ticket holders or the people buying the tickets and the people paying for the advertising on the TV commercials. And the consumers.
The consumer, yes.
Yeah.
So, on a bright note, the Washington football team's head coach Ron Rivera is finally cancer-free. That soundbite hurts my ears. I'm going to be honest. But that's great news. Ron Rivera beat cancer, so good for him. Now, did you see the stock market frenzy?
I heard some people talking about it. I really didn't pay attention.
I was texting last night with...
I heard it came back up.
It's bouncing around today. I think the sharks, the scumbags, the hedge fund managers are on to us. But I was texting back and forth with Aaron from Vegas Squares and Greg from the Sports Dance last night, talking about some of these stocks like Dogecoin. So I'm going to tell the crowd a depressing story, and you don't know this either.
All right.
In 2019, I bought Dogecoin, and it was cheap. It was like 0.0003 cents per share. So I owned almost 1 million shares.
Okay.
Because Elon Musk liked it. Oh, can you grab me my beer too for the last segment toast? Elon Musk liked it. It was a joke Bitcoin. It was made. It's no, it's in the fridge. It's in the fridge. You're gonna spill your beer. It was made. The image of the coin is a dog. Dogecoin, dog coin.
Okay.
So it was a joke, but I bought it because Elon Musk liked it and he touted it. I had 895,000 shares of it.
Right.
And it bounced around, and then I sold it for like a $300 profit in early last year. And then I saw some good news come out about it, so I bought 750,000 more shares. And it bounced around, and it spiked and started going back down, so I sold it for another 300. So I profited $600 off of it. Had I kept on to those shares, 1.5 million,
Yeah.
I would have over $150,000 right now.
Wow.
Because these Reddit traders are trying to screw with the hedge fund managers that are shorting stocks out and basically milking money off of just normal investors. The pain I felt in my chest last night, knowing that if I just hung on to those shares, because I didn't need the money, it's not like I cashed them out because I had to pay a bill.
Right.
I just was bored with the stock. It wasn't going anywhere.
Oh, okay.
I would have, on a $3,000 investment, made over $150,000.
So I think the lesson here is let it ride.
Yeah, like if Aaron from Vegas Square said, look, your new philosophy should be if you're buying a stock, buy it with the intent of just holding it.
Yeah.
But I had it for a year. I mean, I bought it in 2019. Nothing was ever, there was no news. There was no hint of it doing this.
Sometimes growth takes time.
And then it blew up. There was not supposed to be any growth.
Wow.
It was just a fake coin. It still is. Anyway,
Yeah.
we're running out of time. I think we're down to a minute. We got to do our last segment toast.
All right.
Thanks for watching the show. 3, 2, 1. We didn't get the league standings, but we're down to 20 seconds. We appreciate you listening, watching, and just kind of hanging out with us here in the studio. This has been the Work Week in Review, live with the janitor and the in-studio driver. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. Say goodbye.
Have a good one. See you at the races.
Oh, yeah.